5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, welcome back everyone. We're back with another episode of Natural Bodybuilding Worldwide. Happy New Year to everyone. I think the last time we were here, it was about October time. That was before all of the World Finals from, DFAC, WMBF, Yorton Cup, PMBA, Natural Olympia, and we're now approaching another bodybuilding season, and we're kicking off with one of the sort of true legends of natural bodybuilding. I think anyone who follows the sport will know who this guy is and why he is a big deal. But for those of you that are maybe newer to the sport, or maybe you've come across this video on the timeline and you're just a bit intrigued. So we've got Philip Ricardo Jr. with us today. He's a pro natural bodybuilder. He's competed and won numerous titles, world titles, through various federations, including the INBA, PMBA, the IFPA, NGA, I think NPC initially, and funnily enough, I believe Philip did his first ever show in 1992, and I was 1 year old then. So
I was 12.
So
giving away our age there.
So Phil's coming off a overall win at the 2019 Natural Olympia once again. I'm sure we'll discuss various topics, talk about his approach to training, diet, and some anecdotes and philosophy from over the years of bodybuilding. Also, just to mention as well, Phil is also a promoter. He promotes the Legends Classic, I believe it's called. He's also a retired Master Sergeant of the US Marines and a father of 4. So he's a very busy man, and so we'll get into talking in just a second. I just want to say a big thanks to our sponsor for this episode, Vow Nutrition. They are a relatively new and up and coming brand. Actually, a fellow natural bodybuilder is behind that brand, and they're kindly doing a £50 giveaway of supplements. So we're going to draw the winner for that later on today, but there's still chance to get your name in the draw.
Yeah.
So
comment on the stream, and we'll pick it up. We'll get Chris to get a shout out for some of the names. We'll write them down and we'll draw them at the end. So there's still time to get an entry in.
And yep, they've got a very wide range of products. All of their products are Informed Sport certified. And yeah, go and give them a follow and get your name in the draw.
Yeah, and also don't forget on this stream, don't forget to like, comment, share it please, if you would. We are back now, 2020. Excited to get the year kicked off. So let's get Natural Bodybuilding Worldwide word spread. And let's kick off.
Good.
Philip, welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Really appreciate it. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for taking the time. Really, it's we know it can be difficult with obviously everything that's going on with life and stuff. Just to take a little bit of time out to speak to us and obviously some of your fans. But we want to, for those people who don't really know much about you, can you give us a bit of your background of like how you got into training, bodybuilding, and so on and so forth, and give us a bit of a backstory.
Yeah, of course. And it's a privilege for me to be on. The reason why I got into this sport is to succeed, and to be on the radio, podcast like this means I've done something good. So
yeah,
every time I
definitely.
get the opportunity, I love to speak and to, just be able to, tell my story. And also there's people that follow me. I love to just let people know I'm just a regular guy, and I've just been very blessed to have this opportunity to do well in the sport. I got started at age 21, 1992. I was a Marine at the time, and I was stationed in Japan. And they had like a local show on the base. And so it was the Japanese, Americans, military guys. And someone actually entered me into the show. I was too shy to enter it. And I didn't know what to do. I had no idea about bodybuilding. I just, put some like swim trunks on. They were multicolored. I didn't shave. I didn't tan. I didn't do anything. I did some weird, funky poses. But because I had a naturally lean physique, I ended up winning my class. I lost the overall. But, once you do something, you experience a little bit of success, you kind of end up liking it. And that's what happened to me. And once I saw that I had potential, and it's kind of the first time I actually won a trophy that was individual, because I grew up playing, American football, which was still my first love.
Yeah.
But that kind of built my physique, I guess, to give me the foundation. Once I did that first show, I continued to just, try to improve myself with bodybuilding, reading more magazines, because obviously back in 1992, there's no internet, there's no, phones or anything like that, cell phones. So it's really hard to get that information about training and anything else unless you get it from Flex Magazine or Muscle and Fitness or all the stuff that was out back then. But over time, I started learning more, asking the older guys at the time, what's the best training protocols, how to eat, because I wasn't eating enough. I was eating, maybe 3 meals a day, whatever I wanted. And so obviously I switched to a higher protein, lower carb, just trying to find out what foods work for me. And once I left Japan, I came back to California. That's where I was stationed at for about 3 years. And that's when in California, I didn't know anything about, natural federations at the time. All there was is NPC. I did a few more NPC Armed Forces shows and some other shows like Mr. San Diego, Mr. LA, Mr. California. And at first I was, way out of my league, but I did the novice class at one show, which was the Gold's Classic in San Diego. And I ended up winning the overall that novice. And I was like, whoa, and that's finally when I started learning more about my diet and how to get, into condition and everything.
Yeah.
I think that really helped boost my confidence. And I continue to do a lot of NPC shows, but, I knew that unless I take something, it would be really hard to become an IFBB pro. But I think I was kind of naive to think that, I can actually do it naturally. So I kept on pushing. And I finally found the INBA, PNBA, and they had a show in San Diego because that's where they're headquartered at. I did the Natural Southern California, won the overall there. I did the Team USA, the Natural Universe, and I really stuck with that federation the entire time. But then I ended up competing in Muscle Mania, because Muscle Mania at the time, they were being showcased on ESPN on TV. Right. And so a lot of the athletes back then, like Addie Ray, Tito Raymond, who was a Stan McQuay, all those guys are being showcased. I wanted to be like them, Skip LaCour. And so I did the Muscle Mania in 2000, actually won my class. I was on TV and everything. And then I ended up winning the Natural Universe in 2003. And that's when I finally turned pro with the PNBA, INBA. I think the rest is history. And I just continued to kind of challenge myself, look for the best out there. So I did the INBA, PNBA. The IFBA came out in 2005. I competed with them, and I competed against some greats then. In 2005, I won the IPA very first pro show they had. Then I won in 2006 the Gasparri Cup for IPA. I won, I think 2007 was my best year. I actually won the NJ Natural Universe, the IFPA Yorton Cup, the PNBA Natural Universe, and the PNBA Natural Olympia. I repeated in 2008. I also won the Muscle Mania Super Body competition. So I just continued to just press, and I rode a nice streak of victories within the thing. And, of course, a couple of months ago, I took the Natural Olympia. So, it's been a crazy career.
It just sounds like if there's anything out there to win, it sounds like you've won it. So, so it's like if anyone, if there's anyone you would want to ask about natural bodybuilding, it sounds like you're the man.
Yeah, and we were just talking before going on air about your how you're held in such high regard with your other elite peers. In even on the podcast we've had the likes of David Kay and Sean Wolf, sort of say how much they look up to you and admire your physique and things. And as well, it's like that. It's not just a one-off victory, like you had a good year. It's that consistency of doing this year in, year out for, you know, three decades. And you don't do that for any other reason that you love it. You know, I think you can't carry on bodybuilding for any other reason than, you know, just the love of it, and to be that successful as well. So very motivational to see.
So when your first show was when you were 21, is that what you said?
Correct. Yes.
And you were in the Marines, and then how old were you then when you won your pro card?
So I was 2003, so I was 32 years old at that time. So
right. So
it is a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
I think now I see that people don't realize, you know, because I coach people as well. And, you know, when I coach them, they want to get that pro card like right away within the first year.
Yeah.
And sometimes if that does happen, you kind of get spoiled, or you get kind of, it puts you in a bad position because you're expecting with that instant success that you're going to be not just a pro, but you're going to be a top pro. And it's not, you know, there's very few elite out there, you know, like the Davey Kays and the Sean Wolfs and Brian Whitakers and the likes like those.
Yeah.
There's something about them that they've, you know, been through the grind of trying to find out what works for their body, what's going to make them peak at every show, and being consistent. So it's tough, but I think my long time of taking to turn pro, you know, it took me 10 years or 11 years, really helped me to, you know, be battle tested, you know, and learn about my body and find out what exactly helped me peak. And once I won my pro card, I used that same pretty much training and diet protocol throughout the rest of my career.
Right. And what is your favored training and diet protocol right now?
You know, I'm very flexible with my training. I think when I was younger, now that I'm, you know, pushing 50 almost,
I'm not. It's hard to believe.
It's a lot tougher for me to train the way I used to. But I mean, I was always really compound movements, you know, almost a powerlifting style, but a lot of supersets and drop sets. And what I would do is in the beginning when I'm fresh, I would just go, you know, as heavy as I could to build that muscle, but to keep proper form.
Yeah.
But then I would drop the weight and, you know, kind of rep out just to get the volume as well. So, and you know, I had the typical splits. You know, my legs in the beginning were very weak, so I ended up pushing those to Monday while I was fresh in the week.
Yeah.
And then when it ended up passing my upper body, I had to switch things around and work on my shoulders. So it's always like an art project, you know. So you really have to be aware of your body and what works for you and what you need to fix to kind of even out your physique the right way. And so my training really changed. It was really flexible because of that.
Yeah.
But I'd go through some training times. I do hypertrophy training, then I do a little powerlifting training. Then I'll do, you know, like I said, the drop sets, supersets, traditional type of training, you know, shoulders Monday, legs Tuesday, chest Wednesday, back Thursday, arms Friday.
Yeah.
You know, and then repeat, take a day off. I didn't really do a lot of cardio because my metabolism was really fast. But when I turned pro, to get that extra conditioning, because I'm not the biggest guy. So for me, just like a Sean Wolf, you know, guys like Gus, me, Sean Wolf, Brian Whitaker, you have to go with your strength, which is conditioning. So having that overall balance and conditioning is what helps me beat some of the bigger guys, because, you know, there's a lot of giants out there, you know. So you really have to go with your strength and not try to push. I tried to chase the size thing for so long. Didn't work for me, and I know that there's a certain weight and look that I have to be successful. So my nutrition style really was just you know, high protein, low carb, and kind of cycling my carbs to, you know, go along with what my training protocol was. So if I'm doing legs or back, I had a high carb day, and if I had, you know, something like shoulders or arms, I'd have a lower carb day. Would never go zero carbs, but it would definitely lower carbs work for me, get me lean. So.
And did you trial and error different? You know, have you tried a sort of a higher carb approach and then a low carb? Have you sort of experimented with various different things over the years, and then, yeah,
I've experienced with everything. I tried the keto. I've tried higher fats and lower carbs, and, you know, I like the way I feel with the fats, because I think for some reason I do really well with, cheese, eggs, peanut butter, things like that. But I just felt like my skin was a little bit thicker when I stepped on stage. So I know for a fact that the lower carbs, lower fats, and high protein, lots of veggies and things like that just works for me, and really clean food. So I know that's kind of the bro science, I guess, of it, whatever. I know there's a lot of different things where people throwing in Pop Tarts and different type of sugars and things. It just didn't work for me. I feel like keep it simple. I'm a very simple person. I don't like to be too scientific with it. But the simple seems to work for me, and I can monitor my body, look at myself in the mirror, take videos, pose, and see where I need to tighten up in certain areas, and then go from there.
Cool. And Phil, how long would a typical prep be for you?
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of a longer prep. The more you continue to grind and eat that cleaner food and train and cardio, the tighter you're going to get. Some people like Brian Whitaker, I know that he does like a 32 week prep, 26, 32. So I do at least 20 weeks. It works best for me. But recently, because of the fact that I've always had like things coming up, whether it's a guest posing appearance or just needing to be in shape for photo shoots or whatever, I've stayed in relatively better shape year round, so I don't have to take as long of a prep to get in shape. But this last prep for the Natural Olympia, I didn't make the decision to compete until like August. So I only had like a 3-month prep, and so I had to really, really grind. It was one of the toughest preps I've ever had,
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's fair to say you must have been in reasonable shape just prior to that, then.
Luckily, thank goodness. Yeah, thank God for that.
I was just going to ask, I'm always intrigued about, obviously when you were in the Marines, how did you juggle that with competing? Did you find the two things went hand in hand, or was it difficult? Were you supported to compete, or was it a struggle?
In the beginning, it was definitely a struggle. In the military, whatever they say, you got to do. They don't care about your outside, activities or anything like that. So for me, when I was in California at Camp Pendleton, they have a lot of, you do a lot of ruck marches and hikes up hills and mountains and stuff like that. And it would wreak havoc on your body, especially my legs, weak at the time. So there are times when we'd have like one of those big old 25-mile hikes. And then that weekend I'd have a competition and there's nothing I could do about it. So luckily for me, as I started doing well and I started doing some more, armed forces shows, they started to support me because they saw how, dedicated I was at competing and the passion I was doing well. So they said, look, we already know that you can do all the physical activities. We'll give you a little bit of a break, and I was allowed to kind of skip a couple of them. And so once I got the support, it helped me to, so.
I bet that was welcome. In that last week,
didn't give any trouble. So
yeah, I bet that was very welcome in the last week when you get the draggy legs and you just don't want to. You don't even want to get up out of a chair. Never mind walk for 25 miles.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And the thing is, they make us do that, and you have to go to work the next day too. And it's like, sure as heck, but but it is what it is. I don't regret anything. The military was awesome for me. And the thing is, with the military, they do really push that you stay physically fit. So I think because of the fact that I was not only physically fit within the military, but I also represented in the sport of bodybuilding, and I was able to get into a couple of the military newspapers and some of the magazines. They use that as me promoting the military as well, the Marine Corps.
Yeah, I suppose it's a great advertisement, isn't it?
And think about juggling other things. At what point did you decide to sort of back away from your football? Because you were quite involved, weren't you, with football, and then I guess bodybuilding took over. Is that?
Yes. I had to make the decision because football is a team sport, and I love it, and I've done it ever since I was a kid, like 6 years old. But when I was in the Marine Corps, we had like a Marine Corps team I did pretty well on, and we made like the championship game, loss or whatever. But I knew that the pounding that I had to do when I was playing, because we played tackle football, it was like 8-man football. I couldn't do that and compete. So I kind of did it one last time. I can't remember the year it was, maybe in 1999 or something like that. And then I had to make the decision to say, you know what, I have a probably a better future, as well as probably less wear and tear on my body. Just, playing, just competing in bodybuilding. I still did like flag football, because flag football was allowed me to still stay in shape and run around without, getting hit or having to hit somebody.
Yeah.
But I stopped pretty much in the year like 1999, 2000, and it really helped out. I had to get rid of everything. I did a little martial arts while I was in Japan too, but those little Japanese guys were killing me. They were breaking my wrist and just looking around. I said, I don't need that. I just want to compete bodybuilding. So, but I kind of got rid of all the little extracurricular activities, focused straight on bodybuilding. And I had a bunch of friends of mine that were in the military too, that we were all like a team. And we lived and breathed bodybuilding. We posed in the garage, we worked out, we did all these crazy training routines. We do leg press and stack it all out and have people on top and, make videos, pictures. So it was a really good environment to compete in. And it was just our first love. It took over everything. So
yeah. That's what I mean, because we're talking about team sports there. We've spoke about this before, that everyone assumes bodybuilding is a very solitary sport, but there's actually a big team aspect to it and a lot of camaraderie, which sounds like you would agree with.
I totally agree. Yeah, it was really nice. The best time of my bodybuilding career is when I had a team of a bunch of Marines. We all met in the same gym on the base. We just talk about nutrition and figure out what shows we were going to do, because there were, surprisingly, with the NPC, a lot of military armed forces shows. I did the All Armed Forces, the Western Armed Forces. I won that in 1998. And so it was a very good environment. With the NPC and even the armed forces, you were still able to get some kind of coverage in some of the NPC magazines and things. And for me, I was always just trying to get noticed. So that's why I competed so often. That's why I tried to test myself with as many different competitors and shows as I could in the beginning. And even though I didn't always win, as long as I got in the top 5, I looked at that as a success, because I knew I was natural, and it's really hard to beat some of those guys. So I was competing in events. I could be against some guys that end up being great IFBB pros. I was actually at the same show as Kai Green, Jose Raymond, other guys. So it's like, wow, of course I didn't win, but
and there's not many can say they've been up against those guys.
Cool,
yeah.
Right.
Oh, cool.
And would going back to sort of the earlier days, and when you first started and you were reading magazines, because as we said, we didn't have the internet. I think natural bodybuilding would have not been, certainly not in the mainstream back then. Would remaining natural, was it always something that you kept in the forefront of your mind, or were you sort of influenced at all to try and take performance enhancing drugs to sort of improve your physique, or being in the military, would that have been a no-no anyway?
Right, all the above. I was never influenced. Even growing up, I was a very shy kid growing up in Brooklyn, New York, and in Chicago. And, there was always, in high school, people pushing drugs, smoking marijuana or whatever. And I was too scared to even think about doing that. And I was a pretty sickly kid growing up. I had asthma and allergies and things. So I knew me being healthy and just kind of staying active with football, running and all that. I didn't want to put anything in my body that would make me unhealthy. So even when I joined the Marine Corps, it's all about being physical, being active, and drugs never entered my mind at all. And even competing with the NPC, and I saw the magazines, and I was looking for physiques that I looked like, but obviously they were enhanced. Guys like Sean Ray or Flex Wheeler or Kevin LeBron, things like that. I would look at them and look at their workouts, hoping that I can try to build as much as I could to be like them. But I after the naivety kind of left me, I knew that I just could have had to be the best I could be. And I made some great gains, just like anybody else in the beginning. But then you get that plateau, and you're like, wow, what am I going to do? But luckily at that time, like I said, I was looking at ESPN, and they did have, some of the natural shows they highlighted, like Muscle Mania and Team Universe for the NPC. So I really saw Team Universe as being the kind of physique that I could aspire to, because they had guys like Skip LaCour, who was it? Tito Raymond was in there. Surprisingly, and people probably don't even know this, Sean Roden I know he's in a lot of trouble now, but he was a natural bodybuilder that did Team Universe back in the day. And if you look at his old pictures back in like the early 90s, obviously when he was natural, even Kai Green, those guys looked great then, but obviously, you know, when you take something, it's a whole different level. But you know, I never wanted to sacrifice my health, and I wanted to grow old gracefully, and I wanted to be around for my kids and family and things like that. And you know, you can see it nowadays. You know, I don't want to talk negatively about the enhanced athletes or anything, but it's really about health, because right now in the INBA, PNBA, and even other federations, I saw you guys' video of the BNBF where you got the Masters 50, and then you got the Masters 60, and the Masters 70. That's motivating to me. That right now at my age, nothing really motivates me more than to see the older guys still doing it, because that gives me kind of the motivation to know that if I wanted to, I can keep doing this all the way into my later years, have a good quality of life. So yeah, drugs are never a factor.
And that brings us. I was listening to your chat with is it Kaylin on P4P Muscle?
Yeah,
it was really I'd recommend people check out that podcast. Really good. But you were talking about this subject. You were talking about the Generation Iron documentary, and if we can talk a little bit about that. I know maybe we're waiting for that to all come out, but for those of you that don't know, I think Generation Iron 4 is in production, which followed Phil and various others on the way to the Natural Olympia. But it seems, I mean, we hope obviously it will portray a good perception of natural bodybuilding. It seems very good that they've taken that decision to try and bring natural bodybuilding, you know, for wider exposure and introduce more people to the sport. Because again, I don't know. Sometimes things come out wrong. I don't make any judgments about people's lifestyle choices, things like that. And I know a lot of people make, very, they weigh up their decisions on they weigh the benefits and risks, and they decide as adults, which path they want to go down, and that's fine. The one thing that sort of gets to me a little bit is two things really. One is the sort of ignorance these days about natural bodybuilding, and people thinking, particularly sort of new people to the sport, they're told you can't build a muscular physique or be a bodybuilder without taking performance enhancing drugs. And then the other thing, which is probably even more concerning, is that with the sort of rise of social media, there is almost a lot of promotion and glamorization of the drug use, and I think particularly there's a lot of very high profile people that almost promote it as being safe and not having any repercussions, and then I think at that point it becomes not really a truly informed decision, and people are influenced. So that's a bit of a ramble there, but what I'm trying to get at is, was it important to you to do something like, was one of the factors in you wanting to do Generation Iron trying to promote the natural bodybuilding lifestyle and showing what can be achieved naturally, and I guess showing people that this is a sport, because a lot of people don't realize that there is a such a thing as natural bodybuilding.
You hit everything perfectly. I mean, the only reason I was pretty much retired, my last show I had done was 2017. I did the World Championship with the PMBA in Italy, which is a great show. But I was done. I had a lot of things going on in life, with relationships and my family, and, parents passing away and stuff. But so the only reason I ended up doing the Natural Olympia is because the Keikos family, in particular Denise Keiko, she approached me and said, look, Generation Iron, first Ironman magazine is another thing. The magazine now is focused solely on natural bodybuilders. And, the Keikos family, Denny Keikos, he bought the company, he co-bought it, and he's now focused where only natural athletes are going to be on the cover, all within the magazine. You got natural workouts, you got all different type of things that are just promoting our lifestyle, which is awesome. And then with Generation Iron, which I was kind of shocked that they, were going to follow natural bodybuilders. I didn't even know if it was going to be really true, because it's like such a huge, change from what has been normally going on. So then Denise contacted me, saying, look, we're going to choose from, I think, about 8 athletes to be on Generation Iron. And she said it wouldn't be right if we didn't have you as one of them. And you had to do a little video and interview. They asked a bunch of questions, so I did the interview, sent it in. And then luckily, by the grace of God, I was selected. It was me, Rob Terry, who was the 2-time Natural Olympiad previous champion. Great guy. I had a lot of respect for him through the entire process, because I really know him too well, but we got to know each other very well. So me, Rob Terry, Adrian Petrea, another guy who I've been friends with for a long time. He lives in California. Alondra Chapman, and I think a few others. But they chose us to be on Generation Iron, but in order to do that, I had to compete. So I just said, you know what, I'll do it. Really, like I said, I didn't know anything about this until August. So I had to make the decision and say, you know what, I'm probably not going to win, because I haven't trained long enough to do it. But it's not about winning. It's about just being on this and be able to tell my story of what I've had to go through, the entire career I've had. Also to show that as natural bodybuilders, and I don't know this for sure about enhanced athletes. I'm sure that a lot of them have regular jobs, but I know for a fact that the majority of natural bodybuilders have regular full-time jobs. We don't make money from, from natural bodybuilding at all. I work as a software tester, and so that's my full-time job. I do have some clients on the side. A lot of natural bodybuilders are personal trainers in the gym, and others are like, I've known some that are NASA scientists, and you'll be surprised at some of the jobs that these guys have. And some of them have multiple PhDs and master's degrees. So it's just natural body being a hobby, but it's also just a lifestyle of wanting to be healthy and want to represent a whole full, well-rounded life, And so, yeah, I definitely wanted to be on Generation Iron just to tell my story. And when it came and they filmed me and my fiance and my family here in Washington, D.C., Springfield area, it was really good. They talked about some of the guys that they talked to from the Enhanced, where they did Generation Iron 1, 2, and 3. And they said that the reason why they're going into this route of Generation Iron 4 is because they do want to, show all sides of bodybuilding and let people know that there is an alternative, and that, there's a safer way to go. And they weren't, saying anything negative about those other athletes, but they were talking about some of the very sad things that have happened recently in the sport. I mean, even like we were saying, there are guys that have been saying, oh, I take this and this and that, but if you do it the right way, it's not unhealthy, it's healthy. And those are the same people that passed away last year or passed away the past couple of years. So it's very hard to, promote something when, your lifespan is cut significantly short due to the fact that you're taking illegal drugs. So, and it's not to say that natural bodybuilders aren't going to pass. I could drop dead tomorrow or something like that. But I know that it's normally because, these drugs are, they're doing something to your inside your body, to your organs, growth hormone. There's some of the guys that have passed away because their organs just got so enlarged that it was, 4 or 5 times the size of what your organs is supposed to be. So it's crazy. It's crazy. So I definitely was really looking forward to being on the film, and it seems like it's going to be a great film. I've seen some of the footage, some of the photos, some of the videos the guys did. I was like, wow, it's very exciting.
No, that's great, and I'm sure it'll be something really nice to look back on for yourself in years to come as well.
When's it due out?
I don't know.
Do you know when it's out? So
they said it's going to come out March of this year. Okay. So we'll see. There could always be delays and things like that, but they seem that they were on point. They were, from filming us before the Natural Olympia. They were at the Natural Olympia, like really filming hardcore, even while, it is a tough thing for me, because when you're focusing on competing, especially competing against the best in the world, and then they're following me around like,
I'm sure.
Hotel room, want to see me eat, what food I was eating. my meal prep, my posing, my tanning. They filmed all that stuff, and it takes time. It takes time away from staying focused on the actual competition. But like I said, it was more important for me to just promote the fact that I'm very happy that they're covering natural bodybuilding versus winning. But I think in reality, them following me around and me constantly like moving and doing stuff kind of got me in a better condition for the show. So it was like a byproduct of it. So everything has really worked out. God was really on my side that weekend. So
no, it's cool, and they couldn't have picked one of the best ambassadors to showcase the sport. So moving on to I guess another slightly controversial topic. Just wanted to get your thoughts, Phil, because I know that obviously you've got a long history as a competitor, but you're also a promoter as well. So you kind of see things from both sides. But there's been over, I don't know, maybe the past 10 years, a big expansion of fitness competitions in general, and not necessarily just bodybuilding, but there's a lot more classes now for physique and different things like that. Obviously, I gather you're very much a bodybuilding purist. Do you think that the expansion of these new categories are taking something away from bodybuilding, or do you think it is overall enhancing the sport by promoting involvement and obviously it I guess brings in more maybe spectators and competitors? What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. In the beginning, as a purist, I didn't like having all these different divisions. You got sports model. We even have an INBA angel, so you can just wear angel wings and do that. But the more that especially as a promoter, because I've talked to all the athletes and they're constantly contacting me saying, hey, you're going to have this division, what about this, and asking questions about it. I really feel that it's really enhanced the whole competition even better. The shows may be a bit longer, but not everyone can have a bodybuilder's physique or the perfect figure physique and this and that. So if you give athletes or people in general, I shouldn't even say athletes, the opportunity to find a different division that fits their body, I think that's a great thing for the sport, because I think being a competitor, period, challenging yourself and not having to say, well, there's no way I can do bodybuilding, there's no way I can do figure, I'd rather just do bikini, or maybe I can just do this. I'm a better sports model. This gives them a chance to kind of break out of their comfort zone, train for something, and have a goal. So the more divisions that you have, it helps, just anyone. Anyone can be like, I'm thinking about doing a competition, but I don't think I could do this. They say, well, we got this division. And they'll look at it, and I can show them some videos from past shows, like, oh, I could do that. And it gives them a different type of motivation. And that's, of course, when you have the opportunity to turn pro, which I think is great for the INBA, PNBA, all the people that do my show, they qualify for the Natural Olympia. So it seems like the majority of the athletes that have competed at my show every single year, that same year they go to Vegas and do the Natural Olympia. And they tell me, it's because of your show that I was able to kind of break out of my comfort. I never thought I've seen people I've met in the airport, and they'll see me coming back from a show or holding a trophy or whatever. They say, oh, I saw you with the trophy. And, what is that for? I explain, I won this or did this, and I promote a show. And those same people will call me up and do my show. It's like, wow. So it's just kind of like being a disciple for, bodybuilding, of just being able to promote it and say, hey, if you are interested in competing and doing something, there's this division that you can do, and people will come out in droves and compete. So I think it's great.
Yeah, and I guess you've got to respect that viewpoint on the new and extra classes that have been introduced over the last few years. And there's a lot of people that think that it's watering down the sport a little bit, because with all the extra categories that just to fit someone else's physique rather than them working on their physique to fit the category. It kind of brings people who have got, substandard physiques, or maybe even a physique that they've been training for a year and they want to do it, but they're not ready. But then they'll find a coach that will stick them in a diet and bang them on stage, and they end up looking like shit.
I suppose it's how far do you go, isn't it? Because there are the newer classes like the physique and fitness model, bikini, but then it's kind of expanded further and maybe categories within that category, and I suppose that's where it becomes
the lines get blurred then, don't they? A little bit.
And I do agree with that. There are some divisions that they're so similar. Why have two different categories? Or three. So, and that does make the shows kind of extra long. And I found that out even at the Natural Olympia. The show was extremely long, but they had it broken up into 2 days. But like I said, it still gives those people, just something to look forward to and to have a goal with. And I do feel that, when the pure divisions like, bodybuilding, maybe bikini and figure, when they come up, the draw for that still is huge. Everyone's looking forward to that division. So it's kind of like a build-up. You got these little smaller divisions, and then by the time these, the major ones come up, it's kind of like the undercard to the UFC fights. You get all the, the people that have whatever records, and then all of a sudden, you get, McGregor versus whoever. So I guess you can look at it that way. But I do see both sides. It'd be nice to have just a show like back in the day where, you just have your, 3 or 4 divisions. The show is really quick and it's done, and you build up to the one big climactic show. So yeah, I see both sides as well. So
sure.
Some of those, I will say this, and some people might be surprised by this, but some of the top men's physique guys have got great physiques, and you can see that they've got great legs on the shorts, and you're left wondering why they don't just go ahead and try a bodybuilding category, or maybe it's because they don't want to get as big and all that. But they've got some really pleasing physiques, and they're good to see. But it's the ones that aren't, and and have not. They just need a bit more training under the belt there to bring it up and then compete later on. But it's like we were talking about, they want instant gratification. They want to do it. It's the popular thing. It's getting big now.
Yes, it is.
Even natural bodybuilding is getting bigger and better every single year. The standards getting insane. So
yeah.
And and the one thing to touch on too is you guys see a classic physique.
Yeah, and I love classic physique now.
Yeah, classic physique is awesome because, it really focuses on posing. But then again, it's kind of like, as a natural bodybuilder, I think a lot of natural bodybuilders already have a classical physique anyway, because you're not going to be some big, huge monsters.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's another division where I think it's great. And I almost, I think like me, I want to be in classic physique because that's kind of what I aspire to. I wanted to be like the Frank Zanes or, Lee Labrada types posing. That's something that I always enjoy, that really fires me up and gets me, gets the blood flowing. But, that's another division that's an extra that gives people a chance to do something different. But they train just like a bodybuilder. They got to have legs, they've got to have taper and conditioning. So it just makes it a little bit more difficult to judge, except you put the posing part in it. I wish they had posing as more important in bodybuilding. And I know there's a few federations that do that, like the DFAC, I think maybe the BMBF, but, it is what it is. So I think the great thing is there are so many federations out there. And of course I, have my loyalty to the PNBI, NBA, but there's something for everybody. You guys are out there, in the UK. So I look at all of the athletes that you guys have there, and when I see them, I'm like, holy cow, where did you guys come from? Because I see some freaks of nature, and I'm like, oh man,
we've got. I must say, we've got some quality top physiques over there that
unbelievable.
I look up to so much.
Yeah, but just looking at this past year in natural bodybuilding as a whole, just so many just mind-blowing physiques, and it's just really good to see and just really motivating for us as amateur competitors to aspire towards. So
so moving forward.
Just before I think we'll maybe go on to the
Get
best
a couple
and
of shout-outs,
worst and thing, but if we go over to Chris and see if we've got any shout-outs there on.
Yeah, sure, guys. We have plenty of shout-outs to do.
Good.
OPO's watching. As always.
He's always watching OPO,
He's
isn't
always
he?
watching. He loves it. Mark Hodgson, Wallace McKenzie,
Good afternoon, all.
Paul Sutton, current over 50s Mr. Universe, Fitmex Robert, Smutney, Eric Dowie, Rob Bakewell. We've got Mark Newton, Lee Worley, Julie Rose, Eric Merrick, Mike Mills, Quadus, Atunas.
Curious. Kiwi.
Kiwi.
Oh,
Did I say
yeah,
that
cute.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cute.
Kiwi.
Okay.
Victoria Clark, my wife.
Hi.
Martin Yates Brown and Paula Cox are currently watching. So hello to you guys. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, everyone. Just to mention as well, everyone, get your names in for this giveaway. You've not got long left.
One more thing is Jamie Bobby Sands. Says 33 years for a pro card, still got time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's
Yeah.
very
Go on,
true.
Jamie. I like it. Yeah.
Is that all right?
Never give up.
No,
Never give
no. You never know what your future holds, do you? And there's a lot to be said, like you say, for consistency. You know, and again, that goes back to what we were just talking about. How people want some instant gratification, and they want these pro cards in some of the other federations that just seem to give out pro cards. I've seen people get third place pro cards, and
Yes.
that kind of
Yeah,
it
that's
baffles
what-
me. It baffles me. You know, if you
I agree.
you know.
It should not. You know, you have to. If you're not winning that show and you're getting a pro card, then you already know when you turn pro and you step on a pro stage, there's already two guys ahead of you.
You've got it to do, haven't you? You've really.
So
Yeah,
you're
that's
already
it.
in a slippery slope. You know?
And
That's it.
I've just had a thought. I mean, we're talking about sponsorship just prior to going on air and stuff, and like we say, Vow Nutrition have sponsored today. But what about athletes being sponsored by clothing companies, nutrition companies, and things like that? Do you have anyone at the moment that sponsors you?
Yeah, I have New Dawn Nutrition, Elite Caliber Nutrition. So Brandon Stewart, he's actually a Masters men's physique competitor. He's won the Natural Olympia twice.
Sure.
Have known each other for about 6 years. Great guy. He actually competed this year as well. Him and his beautiful girlfriend, she competed in bikini, got third place. So he's got a great line of supplements. A lot of them are WADA compliant as well. So being sponsored by him, and I got sponsored by him in 2015, which was the previous last Natural Olympia that I won. So he's been instrumental in my physique.
Yeah.
The supplements I know are safe, that I don't have to worry about failing a WADA test. And previous to that, I had a great sponsor from the Body Evolution, Jason Hansen. We had a huge team out of Utah. So I've been very fortunate to have a lot of opportunities, but I really feel that just like anything else, is if you're an athlete and you really want it, you got to sell yourself. No supplement company or clothing apparel company is going to really want to sponsor you, just give you something if you don't have something to give back. Be able to advertise for them, be able to represent for them, because I was talking about this in the last podcast with Kaylin. A lot of competitors, especially when you first start out, you compete at a show, you look phenomenal, and then all of a sudden the off season comes up and you just don't look the same. And if you want to do some kind of photo shoot or do something to represent that brand, you're not going to do it looking like less than
a bag of water.
Yes, exactly. So, the bag of water is just not working. So, for me, I tried my best to stay in great shape all year round and say, look, I'm going to compete a lot. I'm going to be doing guest appearances. I'm going to travel. I'm here to really, sponsor your. Hold on a second. Got to turn my car on.
I think we've lost.
There we go.
You get it. So, does it sound bad?
We just lost a bit of sound there, and you're coming back.
Oh, good.
Yeah, is that all right? Yeah.
We can hear you.
good.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, sorry about that. Yeah, my battery's like doing some weird. But like I said, you have to be able to, represent a company the best you can. So I think a lot of people are naive to think that, hey, I want to get sponsored. How do I do it? You know, and you have to really be honest with them and say, you better do something for them and not expect them to give you something for free. So.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think that I remember when I first started getting into competing bodybuilding, that just seemed to be sort of almost the driving force behind a lot of people for training, because they wanted to get sponsored by a supplement company because it was the thing.
Yeah.
It's like forgetting what the real purpose of it all really is, you know. And it again, I think that took away from the sport a little bit.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us, you know, I've been at the point where I've thought, oh, you know, you need to get sponsored to do, you know, because that's the thing if you do. But really, you ask yourself, why? What am I?
What are you going to get out?
What
of
am I
that,
getting
really?
out of it? What am I giving this company or whatever? Yeah, I mean, if it works for you, and you've got that opportunity there, then that's great. But I think people maybe pursue it for the wrong reasons.
Right. They're looking for fame. Everything is about being famous. You know, Instagram is about being famous. YouTube is Insta famous. YouTube famous. You know, and I think my philosophy, and I could be totally wrong. People are like, well, whatever. But you know, I didn't do this necessarily for fame. In the beginning, I did because I was young and naive, and I'm like, okay, I want to do this. But when I fell in love with the sport, I truly fell in love, and really because of the people and it's the atmosphere and it's the lifestyle, I tended to forget about all that other stuff and really focus on the training, really focus on what show I was going to do, and just have fun. And every time I was at a show, I went in there with a very positive attitude, just happy to meet people. I was always a fan of everybody that I met because, like, wow, look at this person's physique. You look awesome. You know, I'm sure, like with David Kay and some of those other guys when I meet them, even when I was at the show with Rob Terry and Siobhan Cunningham, like I've been a fan of those guys for years. So we were sitting there talking about each other. It's like, man, I was scared to go up against you and this and that. You're great. And, you know, that's the way we are. That's, I think, maybe a difference between natural bodybuilding versus others. That when you're a fan of the sport and you talk to people, you forget about the money, the fame, the sponsors and all that. It's just you're there to have a good time and meet people that you've just looked up to and see how things go in the show. But with that, if you stay consistent, things are going to happen for you. You know, I've been doing this for so long that you do anything for years and years, you're going to get good at it. You know, so it took me 10 years.
I keep my fingers crossed all the time that I'll get good at it and I might make some gains or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
but you know, so yeah, but I just think just stay consistent and not look for those famous things to happen to you. It's going to happen. You know, the more you stay loyal, the more you stay consistent, good things are going to come to you. So.
Yeah. 101. Fancy that?
Yeah. So Phil, we have a couple of different sort of segment things that we run on all of our podcasts, and one of them is what we call Bodybuilding Room 101. So Room 101 is sort of a fictional room where you would put something within the bodybuilding and fitness arena that you dislike and you would get rid of. So is there anything within the bodybuilding and fitness industry that you really dislike and you would want to get rid of? If that makes sense.
Yeah, you know what? The one thing I do want to get rid of, and I think it's almost impossible, it never will happen because there's so many personalities, is just the animosity between different federations. There's a lot of, you know, federations that, you know, they'll bash one federation over the other, or, you know, they try to promote their brand or federation or whatever at the expense of others. And I wish that would stop because, you know, I feel that we're all doing this for the same reason. You know, we're doing this just to, you know, give athletes an avenue to compete, to showcase themselves, to better themselves, etc. But you know, the fighting back and forth, and I'm better than you, and this and that, it just kind of gets old. I see it on Facebook, and I see it on, you know, Instagram, and it becomes just like the cat fights. I never try to entertain those things. And I know that they mean well. They're trying to do things the right way and think their way's right. But I think it's better just to, keep that to yourself and just do the best you can to make your federation, shine above those other ones if you think you're better. That's probably the one thing that I am totally against and would like to get rid of. So,
I think that's probably my favorite answer just to date, really, because there is a lot of that goes on, and I think natural bodybuilding's got a hard enough job as it is on its own without having to worry about other natural federations having a go at the other one for whatever way they choose to run the federation, or that they won't work together. That's what we should be doing to sort of bring it more into the forefront, is working more closely together.
Yeah, and there's, I'm not too sure about how various federations work, but I've heard in the past about certain federations not allowing people to cross compete in other federations, and it maybe, I don't know, I think it's good for the sport to be able to compete elsewhere. I know yourself, you've competed in various natural federations. Do you agree with that, Phil?
Yeah, I don't agree with being just set on one federation, to be forced. If you want to do it on your own, great, because you have loyalty to one, and you find the one that fits you best. Yeah, sure. But give everybody the opportunity to test themselves, because as you see, there's great, like I said, the BNBF, you guys have some unbelievable, great pros, great athletes. So why not, if I wanted to do it, why not have that opportunity to do it without saying, oh, I can't do the PNBA anymore, or I can't do the IFPA anymore. You should have the freedom, because sometimes it's about where you live, location, the time of year that you're able to do something. So if you're only set to do one federation and, go by their schedule when they might not have a schedule that fits you, there should be other opportunities that you can take advantage of. So I really feel like my career really is where it is, because I had the opportunity to compete everywhere. Like I said, I did NGA, Musclemania, IFPA, PNBA, INBA. So it's having those opportunities that really helped me to be noticed and to get myself out there. So I think everybody should have that opportunity.
Yeah, sure. And I think it's definitely wrong of a federation to try and say, if you compete with us, you can't compete anywhere else. Especially if you're not paying someone to compete. Then
that's exactly right. Unless you have a contract saying that, yes, sign this contract, I'll pay you $10,000. Then I was like, okay.
I'll compete with you and you alone if you pay me. Yeah.
And like you say, a lot of us have our own personal preferences on what federations we like and like to compete with and things, but that should be down to the individual's choice rather than being forced. Is
I think mostly as well a lot.
Opinions.
Yeah, and just here in the UK, obviously we've got, I suppose, the three main BNBF, UK, DFBA, and the MPA, and I know a lot of people that compete with all three. It makes for a busy year for them. I don't know how they do it. I've competed with the BNBF and the NPA in the past, but I just stick to the BNBF at the moment, just because around work it's just difficult to fit so many competitions in and around work, and putting your body under that repeated stress of the last week before a competition, to continually do that throughout the year. It makes for a very, very long year, and no one likes me when I'm grumpy. I don't like me when I'm grumpy, so I don't want to wish that on anyone, but you never know what might happen in the future. I realise those federations are there, and I'm just glad that I'm open to compete with any of them at any time.
Amen.
And like we were talking about before, Phil, it's all, natural bodybuilding is nothing without the competitors and the athletes themselves, and there's a hell of a lot of good ones to look up to. So across all the federations. So
moving forward now, then what are your your immediate plans? And I expect some time out, enjoy time with your family and concentrate on work a bit more, but what about your future competitive plans? Have you got any?
Well, that's tough. You know, I love the sport, you know, to death. And with this last show, I think I don't see myself getting any higher than that, what I just accomplished.
Yeah.
You know, it pretty much met every need by being able to, you know, go up against a whole new set of amazing athletes and still be able to come out on top. You know, Generation Iron, Iron Man magazine, all that stuff that I've never would have even thought about happening in my career. Those are things that are happening. So for me to keep going and testing myself, I just don't see the reason to do it.
Sure,
doesn't mean that it's, you know, I'm probably saying like 99.9% that I'm pretty much done. But, you know, if there's any guest appearances, I'm definitely open to that because I love to be in shape and I love to also perform.
Yeah.
I know that my fiance and I we're getting married March 28th, so my focus is on our wedding.
Sure, yeah.
My focus is on my kids. My focus is on work, you know, paying bills and all that good stuff. I'm still promoting my show. My Legends Classic is still going to be August 8th here in Springfield, Virginia, or Woodbridge, Virginia, near D.C. So I still have that. I'm always going to be promoting, at least for the time being. I'm always going to be available. I still judge other shows, even from all federations. So I stay involved. You know, if anyone needs me and I'm free, I still coach athletes as well. So I love the sport. I'm always going to be involved, but to step back on stage and put myself through the rigorous, you know, dieting and being, like you said, just a bear, you know, I don't want to put my future wife through that or my kids or anything. So I just want to relax, eat some good food, you know, and still be able to help others and, you know, just answer any questions and just kind of be involved.
No, that's great, and it's a fair one since I think you've served your time well in the sport anyway already by now, haven't you?
Yeah, and on that note, Phil, we always ask as well our guests what would be your best and your worst moment in the sport of bodybuilding.
Ooh, wow. Well, I would have to say best is definitely this last show by far. It's, you know, I went through so many trials getting ready for it, and then everything leading up to it with being filmed for Generation Iron and Iron Man magazine, and, you know, going up against the stacked class that I was up against, you know, some world championships, and being able to come out on top at the age of 48. That right there to me is like God was on my side, you know, and it was amazing. I just felt the presence of God inside of me, just making me, you know, do whatever it took to get through the show. And so nothing beats this moment in my bodybuilding career. I really can't pick a worse moment. I think maybe when I was younger, you know, my first few years, I remember I had competed, like I said, in 92. First show was great. I started getting a little cocky when I was younger. I think it was the third year of me competing. And I had competed against this one guy who was in the military, and I beat him. He's a big dude, but he wasn't in condition. And then the second time I went against him, he came in condition, and, you know, he had the size and condition. I was like a sore sport, you know, and that was bad. You know, I felt like I was such a sore sport that I just had that sour face. And I remember that time because, like, you know, I don't want to be a sore sport again. I don't care if I win, lose. You know, there's going to be times I'm sure that people think they should have beat me. And that's happened to me before, where one guy threw his trophy because I beat him. I don't want to be like that. I want to be the type of guy that no matter what, win or lose, I'm going to shake your hand and hug you out and just take it as it is. So I think that was the worst time for me because I knew my attitude for that show was not where it should be. And I think that all competitors should, you know, really check themselves to make sure that you're not a sore loser and, you know, take whatever placing you get. It's a very subjective sport. Your placing is not only just to do with your hard work, what you put into it. Sometimes it's just that person having the genetics or just doing something a little bit different or better than you that day, but it can change at any time as well. So
yeah, completely agree with that.
You know, you stand on stage knowing full well that you're going to be judged and that there's going to be some element of subjectiveness, and if you can't handle the opinion of someone else, and if you disagree with that, then you shouldn't really be standing on a bodybuilding stage. I don't think. No, because it's disrespectful to your peers, but also to the judges who have judged you.
Yeah, and you're not getting, and in most cases the judges have been around for a while, and you know what they're looking for, and they know what they're looking at.
Yeah.
And you know, you want to take your self-entitled feelings and stick them in the bin.
And I suppose the other thing to mention is that everything looks different from the judging table. You can't really judge from photos. You can't really judge from the stalls as well, because it it's what those judges see at the table, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
and they're always there for feedback as well, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
So
we're approaching the end of the podcast, but we just had a few listener questions, if that's all right with you, Phil. Do you mind?
Of course, yeah.
So the first one, it's kind of already been mentioned when you were talking about your training anyway, but I just want to give it a shout out because he's someone who I highly respect. Eric Dowie is one of the chaps who is a over 80s competitor.
Yes, I know. Yeah,
still,
I know him, yeah.
Still going strong and turning out at Worlds each year, and massive respect to Eric. But he was asking about your current work, your training split and how it has changed over the years. But I think you've covered that quite well in the first part. Do you think?
Yeah.
Right.
So we also had another message from Nicole Weeks-Boyers.
Nicole, yes. Yeah. What's up, Nicole?
So she tells me that she met you back in 2005 at the NGA Pro.
NGA Universe, yeah, that's right.
And so obviously you were both pros that year.
We both won. Yeah, we both won the universe that year, yeah.
And she says now, 15 years later, you're both Masters category competitors.
Right.
And competing with the younger open pros. So she said, what do you think's contributed most to maintaining yourself as an elite pro competitor all these years and still being able to compete and win against the men's open pros? And she says, from one Masters age champ to the other. Because you both had fantastic seasons last year as well. Nicole looked tremendous
Nicole
as well.
Too. Yeah, she's amazing. She's always been amazing. So, well, Nicole, I'm sure you already know the answer to this because you're in the same boat as me. But living the lifestyle. I think if I, did a few shows and said, I'm just going to let myself go, then there's no way I could do what I did this past year or last year. I love this lifestyle. I'm always working out. I train not just because I'm getting ready for a show, but I train the same way all the time. I don't like taking days off. Being in the gym makes me feel so good. It's that releasing of endorphins and dopamine, all that good stuff that, when I go to the gym, it's my sanctuary. And so I still challenge myself. I still look at my physique and say, okay, I still need to work on this. My shoulders could do this, my hamstrings here. So I'm always trying to better myself with my physique. And I'm not so obsessed with it where if I miss a day, I'm going to be off or whatever. But I take time, whether it's an early morning workout, so when I get off work, I'm with my family, or, I do it after work if something else is going on. I just take the time and schedule it. It's something that's always in my life. It's always going to be scheduled for me. So if there's an opportunity like what came up last year, I'm not far away. I love to eat healthy. I want to make sure I'm around, to see my kids when they have kids and have the grandkids and all that other stuff. So this is always going to be a lifestyle for me. I want to be like Eric, your previous texter, and hopefully maybe compete out on stage in my 70s and 80s. That's something that I can aspire to. But I'm always going to keep training. And even though now I'm not training as hard, I'm going to get back to it because I just have a feeling that things are going to continue to evolve with natural bodybuilding. I want to be just ready for whatever comes my way.
Awesome.
Nice one.
And one last question we had from one of our Instagram followers called, his name is Daniel MCS7. He asks, what is the most important thing that you learned early in your career?
Ooh, wow. Earliest things, the most important. I mean, to me, nutrition is probably the most important. Besides consistency, of course, I'd say nutrition is what made the biggest difference in my physique. So if you're talking about physique-wise, you have the nutrition part. Because I was, chasing size, trying to compete with those NPC guys. I was eating like McDonald's McDoubles, double cheeseburgers, 4 of them in one each inside, because I was trying to get so big, and I looked like a big old water balloon, and I was having that, Hot Pockets, and it's like just nasty food. It was all about calories, but not about having the proper macros,
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I said, you know what, I'm getting big, but these guys are winning on condition, that I realized how important the nutrition was. And when I buckled down that nutrition and stayed so focused, and it made it to where it was easier for me to stick with the cleaner foods. I mean, my physique changed so crazy. And, even though I don't weigh nowhere near as much as an enhanced athlete, I just saw that I had the muscularity, the muscle definition. I was like, oh my goodness. I was surprised at what my body can look like and change to, just because I changed my macros, so,
yeah.
And eat cleaner foods. Got away from the McDonald's and pizza and stuff. Yeah,
every now and then. Yeah, you're all right. Just not every meal.
Not every meal, right? I have it on the weekends. My kids want McDonald's. I get some McDonald's and fries or Chick-fil-A or whatever. But yeah, that's it.
Good.
Excellent. Right. Well, Phil, thanks. It's been an absolute pleasure. We really appreciate you coming and talking to us. I'm sure that everyone who's watched and will watch will enjoy it and take something away from it.
Yeah,
there's been
definitely.
lots of good talking points.
We've really enjoyed it. Thanks very much again, just from me taking the time of your day.
And
thank you so much for having me.
we obviously we wish you all the best for the future and your upcoming wedding. And
congratulations again on the Natural Olympics.
Shout out to my beautiful future bride Kelly Lee and my kids Terrell, Kiana, Sonali, Ariana. Love all you guys. You're definitely my rocks.
Awesome. And hopefully, maybe our paths will cross someday through the sport.
For sure.
And if you just want to tell the listeners where they can find information on your show that you promote, and also maybe your sponsors.
Yeah, for sure. You look at www.naturalbodybuilding.com, and you go on the events page. You'll see the Philip Ricardo Jr. Legends Classic on August 8th. It's in Springfield, Woodbridge, Virginia. I have it every year around July-August time frame. So it's a qualifier for the Natural Olympia. And a lot of the competitors that do my show do extremely well at the Natural Olympia. So definitely come on out. A lot of great prizes. We give cash prizes to the pros. We obviously have 3 pros in the class. As far as my sponsors, you can look at www.newdawnnutrition.com and www.elitecalibernutrition. You can hit me up on Facebook, Messenger, Instagram. My Instagram is Ricardo's Legend. I'm sure Legend, I think. You can find me there. Those are only 2 social media things I have. But, like I said, I get a lot of messages. I always answer them. I'm a prep coach as well, but I'm trying to cut down so I can focus more on my family and my wedding. But definitely hit me up with any questions you have. And, it's always an honor for me just to be around and be available for people because I asked a lot of questions when I was coming up, and it helped out. So it just definitely led me to my success.
Excellent.
Thanks very much.
And we look forward to the Generation 9 documentary, of course.
Oh, yeah. So it's definitely, yeah. I'll let everybody know when it comes out, too. So I'm sure they'll update us soon when the production is ready.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks very much.
We'll say goodbye now, and we'll draw the winners. We'll let you get and enjoy your Saturday, Phil. All right.
All right, Jen. So Thanks so much. I appreciate it. God bless.
Goodbye.
It easy.
Take care.
All right. Bye.
So. We hope you enjoyed that as much as we did. Don't forget again to please like and comment on this if you want, and share it amongst your friends. We've got names in the hat. I don't think we had any more come through.
No, we can't give stuff away.
No.
But just to mention, this is kindly donated £50 worth of online vouchers for Val Nutrition. As I say, they've got a wide range of products, all informed, sport certified, and quality products formulated by a fellow natural bodybuilder. So we did have some entries, and Chris, my glamorous assistant, is going to draw the winner.
Right. Okay. So this I think is an Instagram one. That's Jules Walsh. Congratulations.
Okay, very good. Jules, if you would like to, you can send a DM to ourselves, and also Vow Nutrition. They'll supply you with the discount code that you need to claim your £50 worth of product.
Congratulations, and thanks to everybody else who entered as well.
And big thanks for them for donating that. We hope to run more giveaways in the future. Get involved, because if you're not in it, you don't win it.
Correct. So the 2020 has begun. The natural bodybuilding season is well upon us now. The dates have been released by BNBF and the UK DFBA. I've not seen the MPA ones yet, but I'm sure they're out. They're usually quite sharp with the dates. So hit us up. Tell us, are you competing this year? Are you not? What shows are you going to do? Tell us, drop us, tag us in your posts and stuff, and let us know what you're doing. We do read them, we do see them.
Yeah,
and we try and respond to as many as we can.
Yep, it's the seasons get across all the federations, the standard gets better and better each year, doesn't it? And there's lots of stories, talking points, and looking forward to it. Whether you're competing or just spectating, there's lots to look forward to, I think. Yeah,
I can't wait to get to a few shows this year. Thanks again, Chris, for the use of the new and improved studio. These fancy new chairs. And the screens that are up and stuff, so it's a great environment to be in, especially for these podcasts. So thanks again.
Yep, we'll say goodbye, and if you do have any suggestions on who you would like us to try and chat with on the show, then